Hello everyone, welcome back to Ana Dialogue, the dialogue on analog music reproduction. Today we are finally going to take a look to my new crossovers, which is not only useful, fitted for my Altec 19. No, this is going to be hopefully a good recommendation, a good suggestion on what to look for specific models, for specific results. Are you ready to learn more about this special stuff? Let's start now. We will not manufacture or sell anything that does not represent a real improvement for your audio system and that does not represent good value for your money spent. Period. We don't want to be part of the audio snake oil show. This is how the website of Pete Riggle starts. Yes, Pete Riggle. Pete is a mechanical engineer that had different jobs along his journey, also audio, and that he had started to dedicate his attention in building, especially I would say, but not only, special high quality crossovers, okay? And roaming the web, roaming forums, looking at other people's videos, I've noticed these around. And as you have seen, here is the baby. They are incredibly beautiful, gorgeous, and very heavy, very well done. I want to show you again what's inside here. Very special. Now, let's take a step backward, and as you may recall, I already did a video on the crossovers, let's say middle quality crossover I found on the web, done by someone which probably was knowing what he was doing, which is right here next to me, one of them, designed for the Altec 19s. Very cool. And I had great results, even though this one was designed for a 800 hertz crossover. The real crossover for the Altec 19s, as you know, is 1200 hertz actually. But apart from this, let's start over in describing what is this crossover, what is behind the work of Pete. He also does an incredible tone arm made out of wood, an amazing SET, single-ended triode amplifier based on the 845 tube, which is $50,000. Don't worry, the rest of his stuff is much more cheap. And he is very passionate and careful in delivering a high-quality product. I just understood this from his website, what he writes here and there, but also from his very nice emails. And he never did actually a crossover for this, because he is actually mainly specialized for Altec, yes, but the voice of the theater. So if you have an A5 or an A7, he is really the master for that. But we are in the same ballpark. We are in the environment of Altec, and in fact, he did not have that much problems in building something for those type of two-way speakers. For the woofer, the 416 8B, and the horns, the 811. Fantastic. fantastic. Great stuff, very linear, but as Pete was saying, especially in the higher extension, there is a drop, in meaning that it doesn't go 100%, especially after all this time, all the way up to 20 kilohertz. That is also why he does suggest, not recommend, but suggest to take into consideration adding a super tweeter. And not those super tweeters going up all the way to 30 or 40 kilohertz, just something that can really cover the 20-25 kilohertz range. And in fact, as an option, he did ask me if I wanted, and I obviously said yes, because I do want to experiment, to add also the capability, the possibility, completely excludable, meaning that it is not connected if I don't want, the possibility to insert also a super tweeter. And if you add a super tweeter with a crossover, it makes perfectly sense. Otherwise, in the past, I add them just simply connecting them behind, and clearly you do have some cross-phasing. You do have some problems, some smidging of the frequencies. That's always going to happen with a crossover, much less, clearly. But what is the strong point of these completely handmade monsters? Well, he is focused on these, let me read, his high performance. He does a selection of high performance, as he calls them, oil-filled capacitors and high performance inductors. Okay, so he makes a selection of these. I mean, throwing them away if they don't have the top spec that he's looking for. And in fact, he stocks them away. He used to sell them as singles for do-it-yourself project, but then DIY. But then he ceased doing that because he wanted to keep them to create his own crossovers to sell them on his website. Now, let's put them like this. Now, the downside is that it takes at least, he says, at least 6 months. For mine, it took a year, as you know, because I announced these practically a year ago. Yes, it took very, very long, but fortunately, that's also why I decided to go on this journey, since these were very, very cheap. And in fact, I want to tell you about the price of this. Now, the price for a pair goes currently for around, let's say, slightly above $2,000, which I think is fair, because he does not just assemble them and send them to you looking at the schematics. No, he sent me various emails, a manual, a dedicated manual that he creates based on the measurements that he gets, based on the experience. He simulates the circuit and see how this, in this case, what is the name? I forget all of it every time. What is the exact name? The N1201-8A circuit of the crossover. So he makes a simulation of it, trying to see how it behaves and fine-tuning it. So, and he passes a lot of hours to do this. Then clearly he mounts it in his speakers, and even though if it's not the Altec, because as I said, he's mainly focused on the A5 and the A7, but we do have a similar response. And he found out, in fact, that, for example, in my case, this position for the woofer, if I don't go wrong, and this position for the tweeter is ideal. And in fact, I found the same thing, which was actually already selected even here. Incredible. So already that tells me that he is really listening to these and paying attention and trying to get the maximum out of it. In fact, he compared it to his old crossovers done by Hiraga himself. So enough said. I mean, those are one of the best around, were one of the best around at that time in the past. So great stuff, but there is a little bit to wait, unfortunately. And we could say they are mainly conceived for Altec. Nevertheless, I would try to contact Pete because there's also other models listed, I think, on the website. In any case, I would try to ask, because if he has the schematics, he can try to help you in that sense. And I want to also underline how Pete is a very nice person and very correct by one thing that happened. Because at a certain point, he asked me, look, I'm looking online. They completely changed the shipping rates. I'm afraid it's going to cost a little more. Would you mind spending a little more? And I said, oh, Pete, this is already a lot. I don't know. Let me check if I can find something cheaper. In the meantime, he continued to do research, and actually, in the end, he found a shipping service that was even cheaper than the original amount I have spent. So what did he do? He refunded me the difference. Nobody does that. Very, very nice. I was not expecting that, and just this gives me a perfect idea what kind of person he is. Thank you very much, Pete. He obviously does not know anything about my channel and me, so he's probably going to discover this one day, or maybe I'll tell him, I don't know. So thank you really for this, for your correctness, let's say. Okay, the Sonics. So, now, I think I've been doing a journey of hiring quality experience, okay? Because I came from the true original crossovers. I modified them, cleaned them, made sure more or less to make them work properly, but I left all the original components. And they were good. They were good. I was happy. Then I introduced these. And as I told you, after a little bit of burn-in, much better. I liked them a lot. Much better than the originals. Then finally we came here. I must admit, as you know, I'm very transparent on everything. I must admit that I was expecting a huge leap. Because of all this process, of all this attention, almost a night and day difference. There is no night and day difference. I want to say this right from the start, even though I've been using these for slightly over a month and a half, almost 2 months actually, because he also did some burn-in for a week or 2 weeks, things like that. So I do think I have a first idea. I'm sure they're going to get better in the following months, but already now I feel confident to deliver an opinion on these. And as I said, not a night and day difference, but a step above these. Yes, a step above the mid ones, let's call them. So, worthwhile, would I go back? Yes, even though it's a small step between those, I think it's worthwhile. Also because it's not an incredible price. It's high, yes, it's high, but considering all the job I've been doing, meaning putting the feet, the speakers themselves, because I really like the sound signature of these Altecs. I love the sensitivity they have. I compare them with all my tube gear. So it is an investment, and I don't want to use their crossovers because they're past. I mean, they're very simple and past. This selection, this special ensemble does make a difference. If compared to the original, a huge difference. Compared to these, the ones I found along the road, a significant difference, but not huge. I must admit that. But I'm really happy, and I'm sure they're gonna get better. If they get better, I'll put a pinned comment underneath the video, say in, I don't know, 5 months or so. If there is something to communicate, meaning that I found a good difference, that the sound got even better, I will write that. I will state that, but you're going to have to wait a few months for that. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. If you have other recommendations, comments, I know there are also other solutions for Altec. Maybe I will try also the other one, those other ones, the one found on eBay. I know there are other stuff going around, But I do like this very handmade approach and careful selection of the components. Absolutely. Okay, thank you again for watching, and remember that music is born analog. Bye.
Well, guys, if you're enjoying my videos and you're enjoying my channel, please consider to subscribe by clicking the black and white logo here below. Also, don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode and you will become a true member of the analog community.